Continue, Jake. The tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds.
Kristin just wanted another shirtless Sawyer scene.
Can we just look at the brilliance
Can we
on
just
screen?
again point out how useless she is?
How many different bikinis does Shannon have? Like,
Well, look, she's even taking it off. It needs a bikini.
I love that they just montage through Sawyer trying to break up in the case.
You casted a Sawyer for that guy?
So she's a part of the operation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Michael, Kevin, Kristin, and I are here to talk about episode 12 of Lost. So whatever the case may be, the title of the episode, and all about this mysterious briefcase. So let's talk about it. What are your guys' thoughts on this episode? Michael, you had something to say about the ratings?
Yeah, I'll get into that first before we talk about the episode. So we talked about in the last episode that it went on a Christmas break, so all the West Cowboys have daddy issues. And on December the 8th, this came back on January the 5th. Lost was such like a big hit show, and I think like over that Christmas break, it got even more attention and people obviously coming back to it and catching up on those episodes. So there was a huge jump in ratings when it returned with this episode on January the 5th, up to 21.6 million, up from like 18, 17 that it was. So I think that little break was a time for people to like, oh, I've heard a lot about this show, I'll catch up on it. And then they get this episode on when they watch it live. So good job, Lost.
Yeah. I think also what's like saying about that too is like, yes, they got time because like we left on such a cliffhanger. Then to come back to this episode is kind of like, ew, why?
Yeah.
Like, Jake, you mentioned it, like, I wish they would have kept the progression, you know, but then it's like, now they're going to get you to come back the next week because you want to find out what's, so they're like, kudos to Lost, because it's like, wait, but I want to find out what's happening. This had nothing to do with it. So we come back next week. So kudos to Lost.
I wonder too if it was like, let's ease back into this so that like people who didn't know it was coming back this week, people who like, you know, like we don't want people to miss the big thing, the big answer to all these questions because, you know, they weren't expecting it to come back yet. So I wonder if that was part of it. Like, let's ease back into it.
Maybe.
It could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
As we just mentioned, yeah, I just, it felt weird to come back and lose the progression we had. I mean, we still need to find out about Ethan Rom. We still need to find out like how we're gonna get Claire out of this situation. They did obviously, you know, it did show us how Charlie was dealing with like the aftermath of everything.
Not great.
Yeah, not
Poor
great.
Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly has like still has like the bruise from, you know, the vines and whatnot around his neck. So
Talk about that makeup job though, like immaculate. Like that, they're so on point. Like even the spaces in between, so immaculate.
yeah, very, very good job on the makeup team for sure.
And then also on this episode being a bit bizarre where it's like we ended, like you said, on the cliffhanger of them finding something buried underground, Locke and Boone, and there's like a little scene with Boone and Locke, but like we get absolutely nothing of that. It's just like, I guess we'll come back to that at some point.
That's part of the mystery. It's part of the mystery. What did they find?
Sure.
Who needs to remember any of that stuff? Let's focus in on whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I can't wait for my favorite character. It's going to be so easy.
I cannot with you. Listen. Okay. All right. Let's just jump into this because we have all the word. Oh my gosh. All right. So of course we're jumping right in. We've got Kate. We've got Sawyer. They're just, he's being awesome Sawyer. She's being, a brat, and she throws a rock at him. Just, he's just out there trying to have a little fun. She just has to not ruin his life. It's, hurt him in the process.
I think he's kind of sweet as well. He's looking out for her in a way, because he's creeping in the woods, and it's I don't know. It seemed like he was keeping an eye on her, maybe ulterior motives, but I thought that's quite sweet of him.
Right. Yes, I agree. Sawyer's amazing. But they do stumble upon a waterfall. And this is where, all the goods come out. Yay, Sawyer, keep taking the shirts off. But they jump into this lake. They're swimming around. There's tickling and flirting. I mean, I'd be doing all those things with Sawyer. Trust me. Yes, I would. But they do stumble upon, we all know. They do stumble upon some dead bodies that are in this lake, and kind of shocking. So they resurface. He's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh, I found my suitcase or my case. We need to go back down. Help me with it." And he's like, "Oh, okay." We just saw dead bodies that are all kinds of gross, but sure, yeah, let's go down for it. So they pull out the case. They get to the shore, and she's looking at it. He's like, "That case isn't yours, is it?" She's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, well then I'll take it," because that's what Sawyer does. But of course, this now leads into this whole episode of her trying to get this case back that she doesn't want. She's like, "Oh, sure, take it, whatever. I don't care." Yes, you do, Kate. Just say you want the case. This whole episode is just completely meaningless if she just is it's for me. There's something in there that is personal to me. It has nothing to do with anything else. So can somebody help me? Here's where the key is. All these things could have been avoided, but she has to make this a bigger deal than it needs to be. We also see on the beach that all the waves are coming in, the tide's rising, so they need to move their beach. To which, of course, you see Shannon doing absolutely nothing as usual, except for complaining. And Boone, she's wondering what Boone and Locke are doing. She's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We're out looking for Claire." She's like, "Well, maybe you should bring back some food." And he's like, "Maybe you shouldn't be so useless." Thank you, Boone, for finally calling this out. Useless. It's what Shannon is. Useless. Completely useless. Ugh. Gross. But, of course, that hurts her feelings. And
she is not gross. There's one thing that we can agree on. She is not gross.
Gross, no. Useless, yes.
Well, I mean, you have fun with that. I have fun with Sawyer. It's fine. But, again, useless. So this kind of opening scene, Jake, what were your thoughts going through this whole interaction with Kate and Sawyer, the dead bodies, the useless Shannon? What are your thoughts here? I know you mentioned, we've talked about it already. We were hoping for that progression. So to come into this opening scene, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were going to get the progression, but we were just going to get to this opening part of the episode and get a fun interaction between characters. I thought the Sawyer and Kate interaction was really fun. So again, we're further developing that relationship that's been built up for 12 episodes now. And then, as soon as they were swimming and it's kind of murky, I'm like, are there going to be dead bodies? And then sure enough, there's dead bodies. And so then to pull out the suitcase was interesting. Obviously, there's going to be something there. So that got me intrigued a little bit. And then with the Shannon stuff, of course, as we said, just keep being useless. And so, yeah, she continues to be that, but until the end of the episode, she does something slightly more. But I found it funny that her brother called her out.
Slightly more useful, even though it's not, still not.
She did exactly what she was asked. Kevin has said many times on this podcast that he's a jack. Like, I'm a Shannon. If I crash on a deserted island, I'm just gonna sit and sunbathe. I can't be dragging stuff around and using my energy. Like, screw that. What's the point? I'm gonna make use of this time on this deserted island. People pay for trips like this without like monsters attacking them in the night and crazy jungle people. But I do what Shannon's doing. Who cares if she wants to just sit and tan?
I love that you try and make her something every episode.
I'm tempted just because she did do something this episode and just to annoy Kristin to make her my top character of the week.
Listen, I cannot.
I'm thinking
Spoiler alert, it's happening for me.
That's okay. She's gonna be my least favorite, so we'll be fine.
There's so many better options, but it's fine. We'll move on. I do like that.
Michael, Kevin, anything about the opening that you guys want to discuss?
I do like it was a misdirect, but that moment of who's behind Kate in the woods, we had this, obviously we saw Ethan kidnapping Claire and Charlie and then hanging Charlie. Like, we know that there is at least one bad person, that Danielle is crazy somewhere. So she's a possible problem, right? So we know that there are other people on the island. So I like that moment of is Kate okay? And then it was just Sawyer. So I appreciated that. Where did we stop? Did we stop? Can I talk shit about Locke yet and how he's just critical of Boone?
No, you cannot.
We're getting there.
I'll say that for the next section.
Before we move on to that section, I just want to say I do think that the scene with Sawyer and Kate is so funny where Kate's pretending the case doesn't mean anything to her and Sawyer sees right through it because Kate, despite being a fugitive on the run, is terrible at lying and looking nonchalant, like she doesn't care. It's just so obvious that she cares about this thing. She does it twice in the episode with Sawyer and Jack.
Yeah, there are certain things that she's terrible about lying about, and there are certain things that they just roll off her tongue. And when skipping ahead a little bit, but when she's describing what's in the case to Jack, she just that rolls off the tongue, but certain other things she just can't control. Can we also use this time to point out? I know it was 2004. Well, actually 2005 because it's January now. We weren't swimming in jeans at that time. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, bizarre choice. So
first of all, I'm not wearing jeans in a jungle in a tropical rainforest. I'm not wearing jeans in the first place. This is too hot. But even if I was, because that's all that was available to me in the luggage, I'm not wearing them to go swimming.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, obviously the Lost wanted to make Sawyer naked, but they couldn't because it was on television. So
but meanwhile, Kate's in string panties and he's in full jeans. Oh, also my favorite continuity error of it's just a funny thing to me is the bandage that's always clean on Sawyer's arm.
There's no blood or
There's no blood. It's not dirty. It's not dingy. It's not it's just always, except for when he gets out of the water from this scene. Aside from that, it's always pristine. And I think that's silly in a fun way. I'm not critical of it. I'm just tee.
Yeah, well, it's Saeed's white tank top earlier in the season was completely clean. To the jeans comment, take it from Rupert in Survivor Pearl Islands, where he was wearing jeans getting dropped off the boat at the Maroon, and he's like, nice wet denim rubs for a day and a half, and just that was my Rupert impression. But yes,
right,
not fun.
Kate's putting on the jeans unnecessarily to what? Okay, maybe you got to protect your legs in the jungle, but she's still wet. And she's she's getting the jeans wet. What? Who wants to wear wet denim? I don't understand.
Of course she's wet. She's hanging out with Sawyer. Sorry.
That is a joke I approve of because
Kate equals Kristin.
Yes. No, because listen, next scene, when she's coming in the middle of the night, and I would be all about this. I'd be like, oh, I was just trying to move the case so that I could be on top of you. This is what I was doing. I'm so sorry. But yes, moving on. Obviously, yes, Kate does try and get the case again. Again, I love this little interaction. He's like, oh, talk about positions. You're on top. Yes, I am, Sawyer. But again, she knocks him out. Why is she sitting him in his pretty little head? I don't understand. But he still manages to keep the case. She walks out. Now we see Saeed trying to make Shannon useful. She's still not. She's sitting there sunbathing. Now she's taking her top off. So yay for all the men on the island, but she's still again useless. But he's like, "Hey, I need some help." She's like, "Did my brother put you up to this?" And he's like, "Your brother? No. I just need your help." And so she's like, "Okay, what are we doing?" He wants her to help him with the translation of the stuff that he took from the French woman. We see everybody still moving, things down the beach. I love this interaction when Sawyer's over here trying to pick the lock. You got Hurley and Michael absolutely just making fun of him. They're like, "Oh, bro, you're an idiot. Like, this ain't gonna happen." But Michael does mention it takes absolute force to get this open, to which we'll see Sawyer dropping it from a tree. Again, I love all these little interactions here. He does drop it from a tree. It does not break. Kevin mentioned, okay, sure, it survived a plane crash, but dropping it from a tree is totally fine. Then, of course, Kate comes out of nowhere, and she does her little, flirty grin and takes off the briefcase. Again, we see this adorable tussle that she's still not, he's clearly trying to do something else with you, Kate. You should be open to this. Forget about the case for a minute and just have fun with Sawyer in the jungle. And then you guys can go back to fighting about the case. But it's fine. It's fine. Whatever it is. We also have the moment where I have to mention it because Kevin has to bring it up. We see that Boone, because Michael says, the axe. We see Boone coming into the jungle and he has the axe. And there's Locke sitting in all of his glory. And with that, he says, did anybody see you take it? And he's like, "No, I don't think so." And Locke's like, "Well, which is it? No, or I don't think so." And he's like, "Bro, it's chill out. It's no." It's fine. Also, we get, after Kate realizing that Sawyer is just not giving this up, she wants to go to Jack to get help for this. Jack is like, "Well, who's in trouble? Is it everybody or is it just you? Because I'm seeing right through, like Michael mentioned, I'm seeing right through this crap that you're pulling right now." And so she's like, "Well, but there's weapons in it. What if he gets it open?" So, there's things that she's trying to get Jack to help. I also am going to, because there isn't really a lot going on in this episode, I'm going to throw in this flashback, kind of put it all together. We see that she's trying to get a loan. She's making a coffee table book. Again, all these things, I don't know this guy was clearly just enamored by how she looked because her story was so stupid. But the bank gets robbed. He takes her into the back. Big reveal is that she's actually working with the robbers. She says, "Make it believable." He hits her, of course, go back out. All this to get back to the safety deposit box and into the safe. To which, she kind of turns on the guy at this point because he wants to hurt the people. There is a moment that Kate's being sweet here. But, she's like, sweet. There's a little bit of something in there. I got to give her something.
Not very often that the word sweet is used after 3 gunshots.
Yeah.
This is before the gunshot.
She was saving the absolute moron that is somehow the bank manager.
Saving the nice, poor, innocent bank employee and hurting the bad criminals.
Exactly. But again,
but hurting them, not even killing them.
Right. But as we pointed out, Kate is there specifically for safety deposit box 815, and she needs in it. He's like, "Why didn't you just come in? You have the key." And she's like, "I'm not on the side, the signature card, So we see her getting into this box. Now going back to Jack, he comes to her aid. Sawyer's like, "Of course she's having you do her dirty work for her." And Jack's like, "I ain't giving you your stuff anymore. No antibiotics for you. Just give me the case." And he's like, "She tell you what's in it?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Me either. All right. I guess we're both being screwed by Kate here, and not literally." But that's kind of a bigger chunk that we did. So I'll stop here to kind of get everybody's thoughts here. But like I said, I know that there's not a lot that's happening in this episode, so I'll do bigger chunks here. Jake, what were your thoughts about this flashback and the cute interactions that we get?
Yeah, well, again, more Sawyer and Kate having cute interactions with her being on top of him. Then, I love the montage of Sawyer trying to break open the briefcase. I think that editing was genius. Just the many different times that he's trying to use force and impact and velocity to break this case open.
Can we take a moment to appreciate the trying to make Sawyer seem dumb when he says impact velocity and Sawyer's like, what's that mean? Like, use the adult intelligence you have. Like, what's impact and what's velocity? Like,
right.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah, it's not really complicated.
Right. But I loved trying to characterize him as being not as smart as some of the other survivors.
Yeah. Well, so that happens. Then the flashback with Kate. So we're getting more of an understanding why she is being escorted by an air marshal because she's part of this bank robbery operation. And she does end up being a little bit of a good person and, turning against the people that she's working with to rob the bank because she doesn't want to hurt anybody. So she does the exact same move that she did on Sawyer, except with a gun, where she aims for the knee, shoots the one guy in the knee, and then injures the other two that are part of the operation. So I thought it was interesting. I clearly she I don't know if that's the end of her, why she's being escorted by an air marshal. Clearly there's a little more to the story that I'm sure we'll find out about. So
yeah.
While we're on these flashback scenes, I do just want to say, I mentioned in the episode that how dedicated to his job is this bank manager. There's people with armed guns, armed
shotgun
guns, with guns, an armed robbery, and they're beating people up and they're threatening to shoot people. And this guy's, I'm not giving you the key. It's it's not your money. Just give him the damn key. Call the police or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't speak for every bank. My mom worked at a bank, and the policy at that bank was give them the money. Don't let anyone get hurt. We have other ways to track them. Once they take the money, give them the money. Don't get hurt. So
they should have
this is very much a Hollywood bank robbery.
Yeah. Well, also the one guy who tries to be the hero and try to tackle or hold on to the guy, stop one of the armed assailants. I'm surprised that dude just does not get shot from that. That was a very pretty much dumb move to just go and do that. Because he very easily could have just been shot by the other guy or by the guy he's trying to stop. So that I'm shocked that did not end in that guy just getting murdered.
I mean, honestly,
because Kate made them promise no one would get hurt.
Well, that is the truth. That is the truth. But at that point, I feel like he very easily could have gotten wounded by doing that.
Yes.
But also, we take a moment.
It blows it out of control. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Kate's picking up the gun. She's like, I don't know how to use the gun. It's like a flashback from when they were off in the jungle truck. She's like, somebody know how to use a gun, and so it's take the clip, all these things. Kate, come on now. I know that we're trying to play up this story that we're not a fugitive, but let's get a little.
Listen, I love Kate, because she's trying to play the role of also being a victim of this bank robbery. So she ends up being the one to get the gun, and what she's supposed to do now, she's supposed to be the hero. So what does she do? She pretends to panic that she doesn't know how to use it. So I say good for Kate.
I do have to point out here, I don't know if anybody will really catch this, but if you notice at first, she's actually looking at the gun and then she pulls the trigger. Obviously, I don't think that safety would have been on if they are coming in planning to use these. We've already seen them shoot up, to get everybody's attention.
Right.
So I think, and it's not shown here, but I'm led to believe that because she's looking at this before she pulls the trigger, she's putting the safety on. So then she can pretend, no, it's not shooting. And they're like, oh, turn the safety off. And she's like, what? I don't know how to do that. What's the safety?
Yeah.
Because it takes her a minute, where anybody else would probably start, just pulling the trigger, where she's kind of checking things out. So
Right.
it's not ever said, and it's not really like shown her putting on the safety, but I'm kind of led to believe that that's what she was doing in that moment to make it seem more authentic.
I would like to take this opportunity to say fuck John
Here we
Locke.
go.
I knew it was coming. I was like, why haven't we talked about this yet?
Because if all you're gonna do is sit there and be critical of like 21-year-old Boone who doesn't know what he's doing, then go get the axe yourself.
I love Boone.
If it's that important, go get it yourself, bro. Just sitting in the woods, just waiting for him to just be judgmental. You're a dick. Anyway,
he's the sensei.
Did you get it all out?
I mean, he's only in the episode for that scene, and he sucks. So it's really easy.
Okay.
No, I like Kate. I know that like Kate is not the most popular person in online fandoms, and I know that this is not the most exciting episode, and there isn't a ton of what's what I want to say. Like there isn't a ton of backflash story that we get from her, and it does seem like if you would just tell people what's in the case, like this would all be simpler. But like I like that she is like all the stuff she does, that she gets these guys to go in and rob the bank and like turns on them because they decide that they're going to change up on her and they're going to actually hurt people, and that wasn't part of the plan. And like the way she acts about like, I don't know how to use the gun, like in the moment, like that's great. I think the way that she plays both Jack and Sawyer, and like, is she able to effectively lie that it's not a big deal? No, she's not. But is she still able to get them to do what she wants? Yes, she is. So like, I like Kate. I think Kate's cool. I think that she gets hated on too much. And
she's not doing the deed with Sawyer, because I clearly would be in his tent every night.
Right. Well, I mean, she's very torn between the good boy and the bad boy. And I also really like Jack.
There's only one option.
Jack. So the difference between how the two of them react to Kate obviously lying to her, right? Like Sawyer is the like, you can't have this, right? Like he keeps like making sure she won't have it. And Jack's like, fine, like I will help you and we'll open it and we're going to open it together and you're not going to trick me. And like when she does the thing to take the key, he's like, and we said, we're doing this together. So now let's go sit down and do it. Right. Like he's very fair with her and doesn't like.
He treats her like a child. I'm sorry.
No, but he doesn't. He doesn't treat her like a child.
With it.
Yeah. Right. He doesn't treat her like a child. He just is like, no, we said we're going to do this and we're going to like, I'm not being dramatic with you. I'm not like playing this game with you. Like, open it. Okay, great. Thanks. Moving on.
Also, like, I really like Kate as well, and I agree. I think she gets too much hate. This isn't the best episode to showcase Kate, but I do really like Kate. But from Jack's perspective, also, like, she says this is full of guns. Like, he doesn't know if he can really trust her. Like, she's a fugitive. Like, okay, it's full of guns. She's going to go open it by herself, and now we have an armed fugitive.
Right.
Like, I think
and
it's absolutely
she's clearly
right
lying
for
about
Jack
something.
to be like...
Right. He knows she's lying about something, too. So, like, you know that he doesn't completely
he asked
trust...
her, like, what else is in the case? Yeah.
Right. Like, he knows something is up, but, like, I think he is very fair to her. Whereas Sawyer is kind of more like, all right, well, you want to play games? We can play games. Which
Sawyer's just like having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Let's move on here. All right. So obviously we see Saeed's working with Shannon. She's again still being useless because she can't translate anything. He's getting frustrated. She's like, blue infinity, blue eternity. I don't know. And she's like, well, did you ever think that maybe your French chick is the one that's crazy and maybe not me? I still
valid.
think I think it's her, Shannon, that she just doesn't know how to read French. But besides that, we do see that everybody's moving their stuff up the beach. Like we mentioned, we see a great interaction with Rose and Charlie, which we're going to get into a little bit more, but she's kind of like, don't be rude. And he's like, excuse me, what? Like, why are you being so mean to me? I just almost died. Like, and she's just like, yeah, get up. You got to work. I don't care. And so
I love
a great interaction, which we'll get. Yeah, there's more of an interaction there later, but I want to get to obviously Kate. She tells Jack where the key is. It's in Air Marshal's wallet. They go and dig him up. I can't imagine the smell. I think they do a great job kind of showcasing that this has got to be probably the most horrendous smell that they're smelling. And to not leave that detail out, we've mentioned it so many times that Lost is really great about the details. They pull out the wallet, it's covered in maggots, she throws it.
Maggots.
He's like, great. Right, like it's nasty, it's gross. But also, like you mentioned, Jack's like, no, come on, great sleight of hand, Kate. I'm not falling for that. Like, let's do this. So we see them at the cave and they're opening this case together. He opens it, everything that she mentioned in there. We see the money, we see the ammunition, we see the guns, and then we see an envelope that says personal effects. He opens it and there's a little blue envelope and he's like, is this what you wanted? Like, this is it? This is all? This whole day has been all about this little envelope. So he hands it to her. We do see her eventually open it up. It is an airplane, a little like toy airplane. But he asked and he's like, well, what is it? And she's like, it's, from the man I love. And he's like, Kate, come on, give me more. And she's like, no, it's from the man I love. And she's screaming at him. He's like, Kate, I know you're lying. She's like, okay, fine. It's from the man I killed. That's kind of all we get here. We see her crying. Jack he's not having it. He's like, okay, like this is kind of almost been a waste of my time. Now we already know, I'm getting a little bit more. We're getting as an audience a little bit more of the backstory, just like Jack is. But yeah, so I mean, nothing really major here revealed. We just know that she has now said that it belonged to the man she killed. Also, again, it's a little toy airplane. Again, I've said this entire episode. Completely, like, just tell people that there's a little toy in there that's sentimental to you, and this whole episode would be done. But that's Kate. That's how Kate is. She's a very complex person, I guess. Also, we see back at them moving the beach there, everybody's kind of settling in. This is where I want to bring up this very beautiful moment with Rose and Charlie. He's like, your husband's in the jail section. And she's like, yep. And he's like, okay, I'm so sorry for your and she's like, nope, he's alive. And he's like, you sure? And she's like, oh no, I know he's alive. Like, I know it. And he's like, okay, I don't understand how you can feel that way, but sure. And she's like, there's a difference between, faith and it's better on my side. And they see that you see them praying in that moment together. It's just a very beautiful, heartfelt moment because Charlie is just overcome with grief. He lost Claire. He almost died. Like, he's coming off withdrawal. We have to keep remembering this. He's coming off of withdrawal from heroin. Like, so many things are going through poor Charlie. And this is such a beautiful moment that she takes Charlie under her wing to just kind of be like, it's okay, let it out. Like, I'm here for you. Let me pray for you. It's such a beautiful moment. We also see Shannon come up to Saeed. She's like, I was thinking about this. I remember this stuff that I was reading. It's a song. And he's like, what song? And then I guess the only thing that we can get is Shannon singing a song at the end of this episode. To which Jakey pointed out that it was Finding Nemo is what the movie is. But yeah, so we do also see as we pan out Boone looking over, we've already seen that interaction between Boone and Saeed. He's like, stay away from my sister. And so with that, that's how we are leaving off this episode. So Jake, fill us in. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, first off, the interaction between Saeed and Shannon, I kind of love that Saeed's being a little sassy this episode. Like, his little quips towards Shannon are really funny. And then, yeah, like I pointed out, the Finding Nemo reference I thought was interesting and timely for when this episode would have come out, because Finding Nemo was like 2003, I think, or something like that. That's a movie I remember seeing in theaters, by the way, when I was a kid. So,
baby Jake.
Oh God,
yeah,
you feel old again.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
7 when that movie came out.
God, all right. Let's not try and make Kristin feel old.
Yeah, let's not. And then obviously, like, the whole reveal of the little plane and like the briefcase, obviously there's more of a story there, but again, it's something that's like symbolizes again what, them being stranded on here, the plane crash. So again, all the symbolism that they throw into Lost is really, really interesting. And then the last part, obviously the Charlie and Rose interaction. We haven't seen Rose pop up for many episodes. since her and Jack talked, and her dealing with supposed loss of her husband, and her still believing he might be alive. But obviously, like, then we have her taking, what she kind of got from Jack many episodes ago and applying it to Charlie and being like, trying to help him deal with that and get him to, get his mind off of that. And I thought that that was an adorable interaction of, again, someone else, her helping someone else with their grief and them dealing with what they're dealing with. So I thought it was a really good interaction with her and Charlie.
I'm going to talk about Shannon because everyone else is not going to. I don't know. I see too. Often you see with like very attractive people that their confidence is like shockingly low. I think I see through Shannon a little bit. Like you see when her first reaction when Saeed comes and asks her for help is like, "Did my brother put you up to this?" She's just been called useless by him for the second time on the island, and I just feel like she has this facade of like I don't care, like brash confidence, but she's insecure, and you see that as soon as like Saeed is like, "This was a waste of time." She's like, "Of course it was. I'm useless," and she leaves, and it's like, no, she did a good job. She translated the stuff correctly. It didn't make sense for what Saeed was hoping it was going to say, but she actually did what was asked, and I just think she deserves some props because no one ever gives it to her, like either in the show or in the
I would
audience.
also give her props this episode.
That's why we have you, Michael, because I'm gonna continuously be my Shannon hating self, and you can pick up the pieces.
You're not helping her confidence. We need to help these people grow.
I don't care. She's not doing anything. Go pick up a suitcase.
Well, and like you have to, like, to Michael's point too, like that she probably knows like conversational French.
Yeah.
But like she doesn't know how to read complicated French, and she's having to like sound words out and like what could this word mean, and like it's a very difficult thing to do. So like she actually does a really good job of it. And then to like piece together throughout the day that like, oh, this is the song. And like, yes, we can like tease her that like we get her singing the song, but like many episodes have ended with people with songs overplaying like the montage of like the people around the fire. And so like this time it's her singing instead of a soundtrack, which
and she sounds as good as she looks.
Right. And I think it's fine. Like none of the like it, yeah. I'm tempted to say she's my favorite character of the week because it's the only time that it might happen, but I don't think I'm going to do it. But like I do appreciate her contributions to the group, and I think that she yeah, like there is an expectation of like, oh well, French, so do this, and like just because she like flirted with a French guy and was like living in his house for a couple weeks doesn't mean that she is like a fluent French translator. Like I think she deserves more credit than we usually give her. And I'm saying we because I'm also part of that.
This is such a lovely moment. I'm so happy.
I'm still not going to do it.
It's nice to have someone on my side. Jake, do you even slightly agree?
I think she did something by the end. So she did do a little bit of what she was asked to do.
Did exactly what she was asked to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to go so far as to say she was my favorite character. I think there's better characters in this episode, but
she's still completely useless. All right. That is the end of this episode. Let's get into are we doing rankings first, or are we doing favorite and least favorite?
Usually favorite, least favorite.
Favorite, least favorite first, and then our episode rankings. So favorite and least favorite. I'm gonna say favorite. This is gonna make Kristin really happy because I'll actually say Sawyer. I thought that his just quips in this episode are as good as ever, and the interaction with Kate and Sawyer was really adorable. So I have to put Sawyer here for favorite, and then least favorite. This is gonna be interesting. I'll give least favorite to Kate. honestly. Just, she's still kind of lying to people, lying to Jack and everything. And she's still part of like the operation to rob the bank, even though she does kind of do the right thing and stopping the people that she was working with. But I don't know. I kind of just don't really trust her at this point. I wouldn't trust her. And yeah, so I'll put her as my least favorite.
Well, I mean, I've already teed it up, so I'll go ahead. My favorite character is Shannon this episode, and I just think Lost does a good job of like having people come to the forefront and people you haven't spent a lot of time with. Jake mentioned, Rose coming back into it in this episode. Rose was fantastic as well. Like in two scenes that she was in, we had a sassy, sarcastic scene, and then we had a really sweet scene. But this isn't about Rose. This is about Shannon. And I just like that. Shannon has been deliberately written to be kind of annoying. She's not. I don't think she's meant to be, the most beloved character. But I just like that once again, like with every other character in this show, there is more layers to her than that. If you kind of peel them back, and we see a little bit of that in Shannon here, and I just thought it was this nice little through line for the episode of Shannon's story with Saeed. And then my least favorite, I got to agree. I was hoping Jake wouldn't do it. I for this episode, I do love Kate, but I have to say Kate because she's just like Kristin said. So much of this could have been avoided, but even more so than that, we are coming off the back of like 24 hours ago, a maniac attacking our group and hanging someone from a tree. Like the first thought in her head should have been, "There's keys in this thing. There's guns in this thing, get the key, give Jack the guns, and we can defend ourselves." But we went through this whole rigmarole of like, she could have the plane. It's fine. Jack wasn't going to take your plane off you. Like, it's okay. This wasn't a good showcase for Kate. I think when you compare this, like, this is the second episode of her character with Jack and White Rabbit and All the Best Cowboys Have Daddy Issues. This is Kate's second episode. And when you compare this to Tabula Rasa, like, Tabula Rasa did such a great job of setting up Kate's character, and this doesn't really do a good job of continuing that character for me.
Yeah.
Kevin?
I have a lot of nominees for favorite. I would consider Shannon just because I don't know how many times Shannon's going to be this useful. And also, as Michael pointed out, like much more complex than we actually usually get to see. Because I do think he's right that she is very insecure, and she usually comes off as, just annoying. But I'm not going to pick her. I would also nominate Rose, not pick Rose in the end, but I would nominate Rose. I think she's a great counselor to Charlie. Like I said when we were talking, I really appreciate that. I think Jack is fair. Like I think that he acts like a leader, right? Like we have shit to do. Like, give me the key. Like, I don't have time for this, right? Like but here's the thing, guys, as a character, the writing does no favors to Kate, but as a character, I'm picking Kate. Kate's my favorite. Like, I love Kate. Kate is, like I said, she is quick on her toes to come up with that. Like, I don't know how to use the gun. Even as Kristin pointed out, possibly even turning on the safety to make sure she can, right? Even though she's in on the plan. I remember watching this live and not expecting it, not being like shocked by it, but not expecting that when I was watching it live. And like I said, when we were talking about it, like the way she plays both of them, right? Like the way she she waits for Sawyer to be like, she follows him and waits for him to be up in the tree so he can throw it so that she can take it and run away. And like, yes, he ends up catching her, but like she is aware of both of them and how to play both of them to get what she wants. And the writing does her no favors in that, yeah, she could have just told them, but like the writers are trying to build suspense and trying to get us to question what is the significance of this airplane? What is why is she like this? What has happened? Like the writers are having to write a show. So like, just like in a horror movie, if they don't make the dumb decision, the horror movie doesn't happen, right? Like if she just tells them what's in the suitcase, what's in the case, the episode doesn't happen. So like,
my argument for that would be that don't build the entire episode around just that. Like, again, this isn't a Kate issue. This is a writing issue. I agree with it completely.
Right. So like from the writing perspective, I get not loving that, but like from the character perspective, like I think she's a great character. I think that she does things. She's clearly not just a Jack or Sawyer fangirl. Like she is her own character. So I really like that. So I'm picking her as my favorite, and screw both of you. Least favorite? Listen, I could very easily pick John Locke because fuck you, John Locke. I think I'm going to go with Saeed just because I think that he kind of demanded too much of Shannon in the first place, got like frustrated with her in a way that I was not necessarily appropriate, right? Like why you hate on her so much? And I just don't think that he I don't think he is very good at being the like encouraging, let me find this person to like complete this task and let me help them complete it. That's just not a good role for him. So I'm going to pick him as the least favorite for this episode.
When this episode goes out, Kevin, you need to watch back because Jake's reaction when you said Saeed was hilarious. And I was distracted for the first few minutes of what he was saying.
I'm like crying. Jake is so over your shit right now. Oh my god. All right. Let me get this shit back on track and actual fact here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So favorite character, I mean, honestly, I kind of want to give it to Locke because he's like doing amazing things.
He's doing nothing.
I'm just kidding. Honestly, listen, I want to stick with, true fashion here and pick Sawyer because like God love that man. I have to pick Rose. You guys have mentioned it, but I have to pick Rose. I think that Charlie is, again, no one's even checking in on Charlie. Yeah. Like, granted, I know that we have a lot of other things going on, but again, like, we don't really see anybody out searching for Claire. Like, they're all just, like, chilling out. Charlie almost died. No one's checking in on Charlie.
He's still got the bruises.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is, so, for Rose to, like, also be like, okay, I understand that you're dealing with some shit. Get up off your ass. You're gonna do some stuff, but also I'm here for you. We're gonna pray. I think it's just a very beautiful. She like starshine on Rose right here.
Yeah.
Least favorite character, no question here. It's Kate. I think that this is again, like Michael had mentioned, complete waste of time. We just had Ethan steal people and kill people here. We do not care about your stupid airplane in a case. Like this is a complete. I get it. It's not from a character. It's from a writer, but also. I just think it's stupid. Like, for Kate, even as a character, to think that everybody has the time and energy. Even Jack's like, I don't have the time or energy to deal with your ass right now. Like, it's got to be Kate. She's an idiot. Sorry.
Disagree.
In this episode.
I will say it for future ones, too.
All right.
Between her and Shannon every time. I can't stand them.
You just want to be them. You want to be on the island with Sawyer and Boone.
I mean, clearly, I would love to be where Kate is because I wouldn't waste these opportunities with Sawyer. But it's fine.
Yeah. All right. Episode rankings. So if something goes so we're just keeping a top 10 just for reference.
Yeah. So it would have to replace the Moth to get 10th. I'm guessing that's the only consideration we're going to be having here.
Well, I'm not. I thought this was too much of a deviation from like what we just saw the past episode, and I feel like this was a weird thing to come back from like a mid-season finale. So I'm not putting this in the top 10. I
wouldn't put it in the top 10, and it's kind of like from a like show creation standpoint too. Like there are some kind of like almost sloppy things to me of like. They just happen to find this lake in this episode. Like,
yeah, but we haven't seen this at all.
Suddenly the beach is eroding. And like, there's a lot of things that I'm just like, it seems like you guys just like found a lake and wanted to include it. And like, you had to move to a new beach, like as a production. Like, that's what it seems like to me. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah. I also think it got brought up, Kevin. You said Tabula Rasa, or maybe it was Michael. It was one of you two that said Tabula Rasa was a better showcase of like Kate's backstory, and this was not. So I think it deserves to be outside of it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Like, if you compare this, so the Moss is in our 10th position now. If you compare that Charlie episode to this Kate episode, like, there's a big gap for me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to try and keep track of, we'll keep the top 10, but keep track of where we would put things as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if this one stays, down there at the bottom for quite some time.
Yeah.
I'm putting it at the very last place. Like, there's no way this is coming in the top 10. There's no reason why this episode, like, there are some episodes, like, we all have talked about this, there's fantastic Lost episodes, and then there's some, like, this is an like, go to the bottom.
Yeah. Even if at an I would still say it's not one of the bad episodes. There's
still good stuff.
I think like, there's two bad. There's two bad.
Well, we know about that, but I'm just saying, like, this deserves to be at the bottom right now.
Yeah. I mean, even in my defense of Kate, I would not say that this is a top 10 episode.
Yeah, this is very last place, number 12.
All right. Well, there it sits, and with that, I will let you guys get to your spoiler episode or spoiler section of the episode.
Thank you so much.
And we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
Fuck you, Genlock.
All right, welcome everyone to the spoiler section at Tribe of Nerds after Jake. We're here. We're going to spoil some stuff, so if you've not seen Lost in its entirety, get out. This is your time to go. We're giving you the time. Seriously, move it. Move it or lose it. All right, you've had plenty of warnings. We're going in. All right, whatever the case may be, who wants to start? What spoilers are we spoiling?
I can't believe the two of you hated on Kate. That's all.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like, it's a plane. It's a toy plane. Nobody gives a shit.
You both know that the toy plane matters in the future. Like, that is a big deal later.
We can spoil it. This is why we're in the spoiler.
Let Jake be frustrated now because he doesn't know. You two know.
I do know, but I still think that this was stupid. Claire was just taken. Over a toy plane.
Yeah, I don't want this out there that I'm like a Kate hater, because I am absolutely not. I think Kate is a fantastic character, but this was not her episode. Well, it was her episode, but it was also not her episode.
It was her episode, but not her episode.
Yes.
I do think I accidentally stumbled upon something though when I thought about the dates that like I do think that this is like it was meant to be a skippable episode. It was meant to be like an episode that like, oh wait, it came back this week. I don't think they intended to have 21 million people watching it ratings. I think they thought it was going to be like a low rated one. And that's why it's like,
right.
Cause like, I know I was in college at the time. Like I didn't go back until after Martin Luther King Day, which is like around the 20th. So like, I think they probably were expecting a drop in the ratings for these couple of episodes. And then like, let's do a couple of and then we'll like shoot back into the big stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to have like just a slower pace, weird, funny episode. It's just kind of a funny episode with a few serious moments, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like they don't all have to be the previous one.
Yeah, like we mentioned, a lot of Lost episodes are fantastic. Then you have the few that are like the which is this one, and then we have the two that we know that are like, no, why?
I can't wait to defend one of them because I actually think it's a low-key banger.
Well, I think I know which one you're talking about, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have to know because one of them is indefensible.
Expose is pretty fun.
I like that one too, so
yeah. I'm assuming that's the one we're talking about, but yes. Jack's tattoos? No, we don't care about your tattoos. We don't care about
that one. Yes, that one is a definite no. Which is coming up. Ugh, whatever.
No, that's not till later.
But I mean, like, it's coming. It's not like season 6. Like, it's coming up. That's what I mean.
We got plenty of time.
Oh my god.
But no, we know that the plane. We know that the plane is important.
So let's talk about this plane, shall we? The plane she does bring up to Jack, it's the man I love, no, it's the man I killed. So it's both, actually. So this is her, like, little country bumpkin little romance that she had going on when she was younger. She comes back. We know that because she's on the run at this point. She comes back because he lets her know that her mom is sick. So there you have this like interaction. And when they are like, she has to go because they've now been informed that the police are coming. So she's got to take off. He's like, no, like, I'm coming with you. Like, I love you and all this stuff. And as they're leaving and she's just going because it's a standout against the police, that she drives out, they're shooting, and he gets shot in the car and does die. So yes, it's from the man she loves and the man she killed, but that's not why she's a fugitive. But that's what they're leaning us to believe at this point. But that's not why.
You both know how complicated her story is, and you're still
that episode was horrible.
It's fine.
Anyway.
When there are like actual bad characters, you have John Locke sitting right there, and you hated on Kate. I can't believe it.
Listen,
he didn't do anything.
He literally was just
He didn't do anything.
We gotta be careful about the Locke thing. Jake needs to make his own mind up.
Listen, it's coming. Listen, it happened to me last night.
He will.
It happened to me last night with Kason, and I'm like, no.
Next episode, I'm gonna struggle to defend him. I think
you can't defend him next episode because it was really messed up. But I approve of it. I approve of it very much so. I approve. I can't wait. I'm like, let's hurry up with this section so we can watch it with Jake. With that, yeah, I mean, they are leading us to believe that that's why she is a fugitive because she says for the man I killed. We know, of course, that is not, and it's well after that happens.
Yes.
But yes, again, and also, I mean, the plane was very new to them because they met to dig up their little, what do you call it? Their
time capsule.
Time capsule.
Time capsule.
I could not think of the word. Yeah, so that's where that comes into play. But again, just tell people it's a freaking toy plane in the briefcase. It does nothing to you.
I understand that criticism. That's a writer's criticism. I think as a character, she's still great. Like I think she plays a bad writing really well. So
yeah, I agree. We're not disagreeing with you.
You still picked the worst character.
Also, I mean, another spoiler too. We know Saeed and Shannon. This is like the start of their little budding romance, which will play a huge part coming up. Which is where I will then jump onto the Locke Kate train. But it's coming up. But even more recently, like literally next episode, we're gonna get a lot of Shannon and Boone content. So to see this kind of be the start of that is exciting for me because I love Boone, but it's exciting because we haven't seen these characters. So I think that this
we'll finally get their backstory, and then like
can't wait for their backstory.
Maybe wish we hadn't.
Listen, again, I'm gonna blame Shannon for it, so it's fine.
It's fine. Wait, are we saying anything else before we move on to the other spoiler of
which one you got?
Well, I was going to say Rose.
Rose
knows that her husband is alive. She knows Bernard is alive. And like, yes, he is.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, Bernard is alive.
Bernard is alive.
And he's having a miserable time right now.
Miserable.
That poor tail section.
I know.
Also, though, I like to bring up Bernard as well. I'm wondering if Jake is like, because this is like several times now that she is saying no, he's definitely alive. But I know when I first watched it, I was like, she's delusional.
I didn't believe her.
Yeah, I was like, she's delusional. She's just holding on to false hope, like whatever. So for it to be revealed when we finally do see the tailies, like it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, what?
And that he's like such a goober.
Right, we were not expecting Bernard to be Bernard.
Like I did not expect Rose, like that, the cool character that she is, to be married and like head over heels in love with such a goober of a man.
Yes.
He's adorable.
He's adorable. I don't dislike him, but it's not who I pictured her with.
Right.
Like, I remember being, after this episode, 100% convinced he has to be alive. Not because, just from like a writing perspective, I was like, they're coming back to this too much for him for it not to be something that's going to become important. I felt like if they keep mentioning, oh, her husband's alive, they've got to do something with that. So, like, I remember there was like it's the cliffhanger for the first episode of season 2 where they're coming running down the beach and there's like others. And I was like, oh, could this be? I remember immediately being like, could this be like the other plane survivor? So that twist didn't really work on me, but yeah.
No, because doesn't she's sitting with Jack at one point in an episode, and she says that she knows that her cancer is cured being on the island, and like she has the same, like it was then that she had the same level of confidence about Bernard that I was like, oh, maybe he is alive. Like at this point in this show, I still thought she was delusional. I thought she was the crazy lady.
Yeah, for sure. Well, not crazy
like,
lady,
nice lady, but crazy lady.
But like false hope.
Right.
Yeah. Clinging on to something.
I mean, yeah.
I have.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I have only one thing for this episode. It kind of took me by surprise. Like I forgot the whole moving away from the fuselage thing, and kind of just assumed the camp was the camp. But this is the introduction of our beach camp, like the iconic beach camp that we're gonna spend the rest of the show in. Essentially, it's like it was so cool to see that little. Like I recognize the trees. There's no kitchen yet, but it was nice to see us moving into like this place we're going to spend all of our time.
Yeah.
Well, until they start time jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I think too. Like I can't obviously we couldn't say this to Jake, but like what a like moving forward moment for them. Like they're now leaving the fuselage or leaving the spot that they've called home for. What is this 20-something days now? Like it's just like kind of like, okay, now we are like, remember they wouldn't even leave to go to the caves, and now they're like, oh, okay, sure, we'll just go like go up.
Yeah.
I just think that that's kind of like a beautiful like moving forward moment for them to like go up the beach.
And very like accepting of like we're here, we're not getting rescued,
right?
Not anytime soon,
right? Yeah. I don't have anything else for spoilers for this episode. Anything for you guys?
Not really a spoiler, but I just want to mention they did mention it was the lockbox was 8.
Oh, that's what I was literally just about to bring up.
I was going to bring it up with Jake because that's not a spoiler because he knows the flight number, right? It's like a number spoiler we could.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I just threw it in there,
sure.
but like didn't harp on it because I do want him to like. I want him to be present and know that the numbers, because he already knows the numbers, because obviously it's like Greg gave him. It doesn't spoil anything major. But I want him to like. Be like, oh, okay, the numbers are starting to like they're talking about them. But yeah, no, I didn't. I said it, but I didn't like harp on it. But yes,
I wasn't sure whether to mention it. I was like, who?
Yeah. I know. I saw you like lean in, like, did you mean to do that? I did mean to do that. But yeah, because even when we did Claire's episode of Raised by Another, like the flight and all that's in there. So
yeah.
But yes, so the numbers are still there. We have not forgotten about the numbers. They are still mentioned in these episodes. So hope you guys are paying attention and catching them. If we miss some, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the things. No
like, comment, subscribe.
No spoiler comments. Or like put spoiler in like some
spoiler. So
that we can make
and then
not
type
read
it. And Dave will still be tempted to read it because he's going to want to know everything. But like, we're going to tell him not to read those comments.
Exactly. But yes, or if you have any questions for us and you wanted us to mention them on the podcast, that's where you put those too. We'll be back for another After Jake when we get to my next favorite episode because, Shannon. All right, bye everyone.